And welcome to Normal, Illinois. It's the Valley on ESPN at Redbird Arena and Doug Collins Court. A non-conference matchup here tonight in Central Illinois as the 5-2 Illinois State Redbirds take on the BYU Cougars. Hello, everyone. Along with the coach, Rich Savosic, Scott Warman. Great to have you alongside. And, Coach, just getting warmed up into this regular season non-conference play. These two teams off to a very good start.
And, Scott, this is part of the Twitter challenge. 2 years ago, Dan Muller put out a message on Twitter, I need strong opponents. Ole Miss, BYU answered the call. They beat Ole Miss last year on the road. They'll play them in December. BYU, they're going to try and extract some revenge for the loss last year.
All right, let's get to our players to watch. We'll start with BYU and TJ Hawes, one of the leaders on this Cougars team.
Well, he's basketball royalty at Brigham Young. His father played there. His brother Tyler is the all-time leading scorer. He's the team captain. He's the guy who really pushes the tempo. Got to keep an eye on him.
Meanwhile, for the Redbirds, they have a force inside this year in Phil Fain.
Well, Phil Fain was challenged by Coach Muller. Be a better free throw shooter this year and your averages will go up. He's shooting at a 60% clip. That's 10% higher than he was a year ago. And guess what? 6 of 7 games he's been in double figures.
All right, Coach, as we take a look at these players to watch and their season numbers right there, and there you see, you got to watch out Hawes from the outside beyond the arc.
So the junior's closing in on 1,000 points, 10 more points, and he cracks that barrier. But you got to get Phil Fain into the action very quickly against this BYU team, especially in the paint. You got to challenge their big guys.
John Higgins, Tony Patia, David Hall, a grade A officiating crew in this matchup. Last year in Provo, it was BYU coming out on top. Now the return here to Redbird Arena as we take a look at the starting lineups. Brought to you by Casey's General Store. This month at Casey's General Store, get a large taco pizza for just $13.99. Casey's, famous for pizza. Redbirds with the opening possession, coming off a victory against Lindenwood here at Redbird Arena on Saturday. Fain inside, in and out.
It's a good look at the first possession. Get the ball inside the Fain.
Hawes and Yoli Childs, two of the guys you have to watch for this BYU team. In fact, Childs averaging a double-double so far this season, and he's going up against Yarborough here in the paint. Nixon off of his foot and back the other way for the Redbirds. All right, Coach, let's get to your keys to the game. A production of the Doubletree by Hilton Bloomington, the preferred hotel of the Missouri Valley Conference in the Central Illinois Twin Cities.
For BYU, defensive conversion. Illinois State's going to want to push the ball. They got to get back on the defensive end. And then space in the half court. They're at their best when they space the floor to avoid double teams. Illinois State, disruptive D. Opponents have been taking 19 seconds per possession. That means you've been playing very good defense, the Redbirds has. They have to do that against this experienced squad here tonight.
Lineup change for Coach Muller in this matchup as Will Tinsley will be coming off the bench. Josh Jefferson, one of the newbies on this Redbird squad, getting the start. He makes the pass to Evans, who hits the triple. Good sign for ISU. I know Coach Muller wants to see Evans pick his game up here a little bit.
Now, he can score in bunches. Hasn't been shooting it very well from the three, only about a 30% clip thus far. Very capable shooter.
Here's Childs with the answer. Beautiful.
Whatever happened to the day where the post guy just shoots it when he's in the low block? Not anymore. Great shot by
anymore.
Childs.
Jefferson almost loses the handle. Copeland, nice move in the paint. Can't finish, however, and Childs will get the board. Yeah, the Cougars coming off a tough loss against the Houston Cougars at home on Saturday. In and out on the shot by Hawes. And Coach Dave Rose would like to see his team get a bounce back, even though it's a tough road matchup here against ISU. Nice ball rotation, and Jefferson can hit from the outside.
Starts with dribble penetration and unselfishness. Make the extra pass. Nice play by Copeland.
Childs on Yarborough. High off the glass. And Yarborough comes away with it. I know Coach Dan Muller told me, talking to him on the phone yesterday, very happy with the preseason all-conference player Yarborough's play early in this 2018-19 season.
He's done a nice job of picking his spots. He has distributed the basketball, and he also has picked the right time, and he doesn't force his shot. He's done an excellent job. One of only 4 players to be ranked in the top 5 of their respective conferences in points, rebounds, and assists.
Coach Dave Rose, 14 seasons in Utah as Yarborough hits the 3. And for Coach Rose, second all-time wins, 13 straight 21 season, 7th winning percentage among all active coaches in NCAA basketball. That is impressive.
I asked him earlier today how he's been able to do that. Is you see Hawes down the middle, but he talked about the consistency of the players that he got early on and their high character, their work ethic, and he's done an outstanding job of continuing the tradition.
Fein on Childs. Hawes trying to get a pick. Redbirds up by 4 early on. Hawes driving on Copeland, and Copeland gets the block. Last touch by Zach. And with 9 seconds remaining, BYU retains possession. And there's Dan Muller, head coach here, of course, his alma mater. And just recently passed his coach, Kevin Stallings, for 4th all-time in wins here in Normal. Seljaas, hits the 3 from the outside. Here's a young man that started out on fire from beyond the arc in his freshman season.
Slumped a little bit as a sophomore, but he has picked it up. And 17 of his made field goals, 14 have been threes.
There's another make by Evans. And Seljaas shot, in fact, a Cougar freshman all-time record, 50% from beyond the arc. Off the mark on that one, and Yarborough will come away with it for ISU, trying to add to their 3-point lead. Quick hands on the defensive end for BYU. Oh, it's nice shake and bake, and he'll go for the and one when we come back. Just over 4 minutes into this one from Redbird Arena. It's the Redbirds and the Cougars. It's the Valley on ESPN. The Valley on ESPN is brought to you by State Farm. There for you when things go wrong. But today at 800 State Farm. With the coach Rich Savosic, Scott Warman with you as the BYU Cougars here in Normal, Illinois, taking on the Illinois State Redbirds. And right now, a 1-point lead for ISU with TJ Hawes after the under-16 timeout, ready to try to complete a 3-point play and try to tie the score here early on.
It's interesting, Scott. Both teams try to establish the inside game. BYU throws it inside to Childs. Illinois State throws it inside to Fein. Neither of them are able to capitalize on post moves, but it's been the 3-ball and the perimeter jump shot that has made the scoring and the game flow.
Yeah, Redbirds a perfect 3 for 3 from beyond the arc early on. As we mentioned, Hawes trying to complete the conventional 3 here and tie the score. Yarborough faces the double team. Jefferson wide open. Well, I tell you what, nice offensive rebound, and then finally taken away with Seljaas. Long outlet to Childs. Wide open is Nixon for the easy deuce. 9-2 run right now for BYU. Dowu, who is a freshman from Melbourne, Florida, out right now. He wears number 13. As more size added to this roster for Dan Muller this season. In fact, Dowu is the only freshman on ISU this season. Boy, Keyshawn Evans is finding his groove here tonight.
Well, the key to this Illinois State team is the third leg of the stool. We know Fain, we know Yarbrough. Keyshawn Evans has to step up in his senior year.
Good pass inside and the finish for Nixon. Hardnett with the assist. Here's a team, BYU, that does not turn the ball over very much, Coach.
Only a little bit over 8 a game. They're experienced, they're unselfish, and they don't get careless.
Yeah, they had, I think they were averaging just over 11 turnovers a game in the first 3 games of the season. Now in the last 4, they've only turned the ball over less than 7 times. In fact, the last 2 games, TJ Hawes, 17 assists and just 2 turnovers. That's ridiculous.
And it was interesting talking to Coach Rose earlier. He was bemoaning the fact that they have gone too fast for conditions at times and turned the ball over, and maybe they need to slow it down. 8 a game, that's pretty doggone good.
Use little strong and off the hands of Luke Worthington and back to Illinois State. Worthington, one of the captains on this BYU squad.
All-state lineman in high school on the football team. Looks like he might be able to play on the BYU football team as well.
So. Oh, Tinsley's call for the foul there.
Point of emphasis for the officials this year. Screener must come to a stop. We talk about that. That's been a rule for years, but it's really one of those things that the officials are going to look closely at this year.
Oh, Childs still stays inbound somehow, some way, and he gives BYU the lead at 16-14. Chastain is fouled on the play by Childs. Matt Chastain, number 22. Chastain, the transfer that sat out last year for Dan Muller's Redbirds. Nice head fake, and they're going to get a foul on Worthington. So BYU picks up a couple of quick fouls here at the 13:02 mark. Here's Fain on Worthington. Trying to get some help. Oh, Tinsley wide open.
BYU tried so hard to deny the ball out, back out to the perimeter. Tinsley with a nice back cut.
Use on the drive, high off the glass. Crashing the glass is BYU, and Tinsley comes up with the rebound. Here come the Redbirds in transition. And on the drive, Jefferson a little wild, and here comes TJ Hawes for BYU. Hawes wide open as Worthington.
Right now, the defensive rotation for Illinois State is not there. They help on the drive, but the next teammate has to slide down. They haven't been able to do that thus far.
12 of the 18 points so far in the nearly 8 minutes of this first half coming in the paint right now for Coach Dave Rose's Cougars.
And it's come primarily off of dribble penetration. We talk about it all the time. It's help the helper. The initial help has been good, but the rotation from the backside guard has been slow, and BYU has taken advantage.
As Malik Yarbrough checks back in for the Birds. Yarbrough on Childs. Too strong. Childs, double team. a lot of time on the shot clock. And Yarborough will get the intercept on the pass there.
Terrific defense by Yarborough, forcing Childs off the block.
Tinsley wide open. This is McKay Cannon. Kick out. And a three from Harding off the mark. And the rebound is taken by Matt Chastain. Here's Evans in the paint. Fade away. I don't think Keyshawn Evans has missed a shot yet, has he?
No, he hasn't. Showing that he can do more than just be a three-point shooter.
And Evans in transition. Evans off the mark.
Ooh, Evans went down hard.
Slow to get up on underneath the basket, trying to get back on defense. And a foul is called, so Connor Harding will go to the line when we come back. Just about the midway mark of this opening half, it's BYU and ISU. It's the Valley on ESPN. All right, Coach Rich Savosik, why don't we take a look at the Missouri Valley Conference standings? A presentation of Purina Dog Chow, crafted in the USA by people who care with high-quality ingredients. That's the Dog Chow promise.
Well, Bradley off to a great start. And how about the job that Darren DeVries is doing at Drake? Big win last night against Boise State. Greg Lansing at Indiana State has the Sycamores with one of their bigger wins this year, Western Kentucky
on Saturday. How about that backcourt of Jordan Barnes and Tyreek Key? Wow.
They can fill it up.
They can.
They're exciting. Fun to watch.
There is no doubt about it. And congratulations to the Bradley Braves and Brian Wardle winning that tournament last week. It was the first tournament that the Braves have won in almost seems like forever, I'm sure, for Braves fans.
I think we'd have to go back to Nixon as the president.
I think you're right. That's a long time ago.
Well, they had a big win earlier in the year, beat Penn State.
Yep.
So the Valley has chalked up some very good early season wins.
Connor Harding to the line. He's the freshman from Idaho, and just a freshman. He just finished his two-year mission, so just his first year for Coach Rose here.
Tough kid. Played quarterback in high school. I love college basketball players who played high school football. They have a certain toughness about them.
That mentality?
Absolutely.
Oh, Jefferson and Yarborough on the wrong page, and that is a turnover, number 4 for ISU.
Yarborough is doing an excellent job on Childs, front in the low post.
Here's Cannon. Wide open down the lane, and it's blocked by Fain. Oh, Yarborough's pass just over the head of Josh Jefferson, who was cruising in on the right side there. Josh Jefferson's interesting. You look at some of his numbers in the 5 wins for Dan Muller's squad this year. He's averaging 15 points a game and shooting 50%. In the 2 losses this year, Jefferson averaging 4 points and only shooting 20%. That's a new guy.
And the interesting thing about that last possession is Yarborough thought he was going to spot up for a 3, and why not? 21 of his 28 field goals are 3, so a little miscommunication on the offensive end.
Stolen there by Jefferson. And Josh gets the foul from Fain.
Terrific hustle play by Fain. You talk to your players all the time. Don't assume your teammate's going to make the layup. Fain, terrific job.
And Jashir Hardnett is called for the foul. Back the other way, called by John Higgins. Ray Idowu is checking back in for the Birds, as you see Phil Fain grabbing a breather there on the Redbirds bench area. Tinsley off the mark. Childs pulls down another rebound. That's got to be at least 3 or 4 defensive rebounds for Childs already here in the first half. Averaging 20 points and 12 rebounds just 7 games into this season. Young man is a machine. Nice pass inside, and Nixon with the finish.
Terrific vision by Childs.
Keyshawn. That's just his second miss. Arnett trying to get a block, and Childs trying to get the follow-up, and Idowu. And a nice save there by Evans. Looks like a hot potato there for a while. Yarbrough just short. And it's Cougar basketball when we come back. 7:49 remaining in the opening half. It's BYU and ISU, the Valley on ESPN. All right, time now for tonight's Enterprise Bank and Trust MVC Scholar Athlete of the Game. It is Illinois State's Taylor Beninga, the sophomore forward from Mapleton, Illinois. He has a 3.41 CUME GPA in Business Administration, the official bank of the Missouri Valley Conference. Enterprise Bank and Trust, member FDIC. Along with the coach Rich Savosic, Scott Warman, and our entire crew here in Normal, Illinois. Our first telecast of the season of the Valley on ESPN. Big matchup here. 2-5 and 2 teams going mano-a-mano. Illinois State taking on the Cougars from Brigham Young. Right now, Brigham Young, 14 of their 22 points, Coach Savosic, in the paint.
It's been their patience in the half court. They haven't been taking shots quickly. Late in the shot clock, they are 6 for 11, as opposed to when they take a quick shot in less than 10 seconds, 3 of 9. What that tells me is Illinois State defense is breaking down after their initial set.
Meanwhile, for the Redbirds, 4 of 8 from beyond the arc here in the opening 12-plus minutes. Keyshawn Evans already in double figures. He's only been in double figures one time before tonight's matchup. Chastain with a nice power move inside.
Chastain's given them some good minutes off the bench.
Childs this time on Idowu, and a nice help defense by Josh Jefferson to strip it away. Idowu wide open, too strong. Sellius with the rebound, and here comes the Cougars. Foul before the shot, and this is going to be on ISU. Cougars with 4 turnovers in the last 3:30. As Phil Fain checks back in.
Fain kind of walked off the court limping after the dunk, but seems to be okay.
Makes the steal there on the inbounds play. An uncharacteristic turnover by BYU. Yarbrough gets the travel.
It's an interesting call by John Higgins. Travel on that. I've seen some plays this year already that the Euro step that announcers love to talk about enacted. That was fewer steps than some of the Euro steps I have seen.
Most definitely.
Quite frankly, I think they're both traveling, but Got to be a little more consistent.
Hardnett on the miss. ISU back the other way. Trying to take the lead. Fain trying to get position. There's Baxter for the rebound. Nice pass inside and the finish for Baxter. Have to be impressed with that ball movement on that possession by BYU. How about Keyshawn Evans? Right back at it and gives the Birds the 1-point lead, 25-24. Oh, good hustle by Harding to keep it alive, but it goes right into the hands of Copeland. Open for three. And Nixon comes away with it for the Cougars. BYU already with 8 turnovers in this first half. Again, we told you, averaging just over 6 turnovers a game over the last 4 games. Harding on the drive, and the bucket and the foul.
I'd like to see that one again. The only thing I can think of is his feet may have been touching the circle, which it looked like he was set.
ISU fans none too happy with the call. So Harding trying to complete the 3-point play. Will Tinsley comes back in for Chastain. As we touch on the 5-minute mark left in this opening half. Nice pass by Yarborough. Fain gets a shot blocked by Baxter.
Fain has not been able to convert inside. It was a well-executed play, however.
Oz strong on the 3 attempt, and Josh Jefferson with a long rebound. Birds could tie or take the lead on this possession. One and done on that possession. Harding? No. Nixon keeps it alive at a fresh 30. Oss with the teardrop. 4-point lead for BYU.
Good head and shoulders fake by Pause. Got Jefferson up in the air. No man's land.
And working it inside to Fain, and the foul is called. Redbirds basketball when we come back. 3:58 remaining in the opening half of play here at Redbird Arena. Back at Redbird Arena as BYU has their largest lead here in the first half at 4 against Illinois State. Folks, I want to remind you, stay tuned for our halftime report, a presentation of State Farm. There for you when things go wrong, but also here to help life go right. Talk to an agent today at 800 State Farm. Coach Rich Savosic and Scott Warman with you. There you see Coach Dave Rose. As we mentioned, this is his 14th season at BYU, second all-time in wins. He was a Coach of the Year finalist nationally in 2011, 8 times in the NCAA tournament. We mentioned they lost to the Houston Cougars on Saturday at home, and it was kind of homecoming for Dave because Dave actually played his collegiate career with the Cougars in Houston. Honestly, I was telling the BYU folks before today's game, and I told you this, I didn't know he was a part of the Phi Slamma Jamma. You remember Drexler, Elijah Wan, the whole crew. But yes, Dave Rose was actually one of the captains on the team.
Well, it was interesting. He told me earlier today that Kelvin Sampson, the head coach at Houston, wanted BYU to come down and be the opening game for their remodeled Hoff-Heinz Pavilion.
Right.
And you know, try and bring the Phi Slamma Jamma impact back. And unfortunately, they couldn't work it out, so they decided, okay, we're going to come to you this year, play in the Marriott Center, which they did last week, and then they will return the game to Houston next year.
You mentioned in the open, Phil Fain was told by his head coach he's got to improve at the free throw line if he wants to be a regular in double figures. There's 2 for 2 there, 60% on the season so far.
Well, he looks so much more comfortable than he did a year ago. Last year, every shot was an adventure. This year, he has gained some confidence out there.
Childs and Yarborough doing battle inside. It looks like Yarborough is going to pick up the foul. And for Malik, that is his second foul. So now decision time for Dan Mueller if he wants to keep his guy out there. And it looks like he's going to immediately bring him over to the bench areas. Matt Chastain will check in for number 52. Now, does he remain out for the entire 342?
Depending on the score, I believe he will. Normally, Dan Mueller is a guy who is not a hard and fast rule. You got 2 fouls, you're going to go sit down. But the problem is you're guarding Childs. And BYU is going to look to get him the ball every single time down. So you don't want Yarborough to pick up a third, especially with the game still close.
Evans got the hot hand. Chastain, nice offensive board. Evans and Chastain with another save, but this time right in the hands of Hawes. Childs, turnaround.
Wow, he's tough to stop. You think just on the defensive end, you've got him off the post, you got him out of his comfort zone, and he knocks that one down.
ISU right now 1 for their last 8 from the field. Fain inside, nice job, nice look by Evans. Things aren't going good offensively. Get those high percentage shots.
The 2-man game by the 2 seniors.
Childs gets the bucket, and he'll go, or excuse me, that's Baxter, I apologize. Baxter with the bucket, and he'll try for the conventional 3 here.
Once again, you had slow rotation. They go to double the post. The guard doesn't come down. We're looking at another 3-point play opportunity.
Baxter giving Coach Rose some nice minutes off the bench. And Childs comes away with the rebound off the missed free throw. That cannot make Dan Mueller very happy. And turnover number 9 for BYU.
That will not make Coach Rose very happy. Childs had pretty good post position. The passer needed to take one more dribble to get an angle.
Copeland backs up and hits it. 34-31. Here's Hawes. Nice head fake. And he'll get the roll. 36-31 as we have under 2 minutes remaining in this opening half of play. And Evans retains possession.
Jeez.
Copeland. Fain driving on Baxter. And Harding one and done again on that possession for ISU as we are joined right now by the commissioner of the Missouri Valley Conference, Doug Elgin. Good to see you, Doug, and what a matchup here between these two terrific ball clubs.
It's a great series, Scott, and great atmosphere in here tonight. Big
Absolutely, no doubt about it. Conference, some of the teams off to terrific starts. Just a little west of here, how about Brian Wardle's Bradley Braves? Wow.
Hey, winning the Cancun Challenge with wins over SMU and a really good Penn State team. That's a great start for that program that is clearly on the rise.
And you go to Des Moines, Darren DeVries in his first year in his own hometown of Des Moines, Iowa, and they're off to a great start too.
Oh, they certainly are. Obviously, Darren is a guy that knows the lay of the land in the Missouri Valley, spent 18 years at Creighton, and he's going to get that program back into contention very quickly.
Meanwhile, for Illinois State, it's a 5-2 record heading into tonight's game, and Dan's always putting forth a strong non-conference schedule. He's got a tough one even after tonight. He's got San Diego State and Ole Miss coming up this month.
Yeah, I think he is certainly on the front edge of strategic scheduling. And
as Baxter gets the finish there, and it's a 9-point deficit, and Dan Muller is going to burn his first half timeout with 8.8 seconds remaining, and it is the largest lead of the night for BYU at 40-31 as they're on quite a run right now. Obviously, we haven't even got into conference play here, Commissioner Elgin, but looking forward to Arch Madness. Your folks busy, of course. We always say that the madness of March starts under the arch with Arch Madness in St. Louis. And not only that, but you guys are also going to be hosting a national regional in Kansas City this year, too.
Absolutely. A lot of great postseason basketball. Our tournament comes back to St. Louis for the 29th straight year. And certainly looking forward to what should be a really competitive tournament and a brand new Enterprise Center, basically.
Oh, it looks fantastic. I know I was talking to some of the Illinois State people. They were asking me about it. I said, wait till you guys show up. It looks terrific. I know you and I both have been there. All right, ISU trying to cut into this deficit before the end of the half. Wide open. Evans for three. Too strong. And that'll do it. Doug, thanks for the visit. Appreciate it. That'll do it. 20 minutes in the books here at Redbird Arena, and quite a run for BYU at the end of the half as they hold a 9-point lead at 40-31 here at Redbird Arena. All right, time now to check in with Illinois State head coach Dan Muller for tonight's Casey's General Store plans for the second half with our own Coach Bruce Savosa. Coach?
Defense. What's the message to the team defensively in the locker room at halftime?
Well, we were solid till halftime. I think they scored 8 straight possessions. We're just having a lot of breakdowns. We're having guys get tired. Our best players got to play a little better.
You took Yarborough out with 2 fouls. Is that a hard and fast rule for you?
No, I usually don't do that.
Good luck, Coach.
All right, Coach, thanks so much. And our chat with the coaches this season is brought to you by Casey's General Store. Casey's, famous for pizza. Quite a run for the Cougars of BYU at the end of the opening half of play here at Redbird Arena. It's a 9-point lead for BYU over ISU, and our State Farm halftime report is headed your way next. It's the Valley on ESPN.
Your team, your card. Get yours at discover.com/NHL.
Blue Moon is brewed for a flavorful and refreshing taste that makes any moment shine brighter.
The rules of luxury. Look, but don't touch. Touch, but don't use. Use, but don't enjoy. Enjoy, but don't show it.
If you're going to follow one rule, make sure it's this one. Luxury should be lived in. Now get a special winter bonus at the Infinity Winter Sales Event. Infinity. Empower the drive.
The more the merrier. Cricket keeps us sharier. 4 lines of unlimited data for $100 a month.
See more at cricketwireless.com/holiday.
Artificial intelligence helps us meet the needs of tomorrow, today.
By 2050, we need to produce 60% more food. So how do we feed the world without wrecking the planet? Using Microsoft AI, we make predictions about when to plant, when to irrigate, and when to harvest. Now we can reduce waste and produce more food.
Artificial intelligence helps us change the way we feed the world.
Cartel's top mule's on his way to a drop. We know it's a black pickup, it's a needle in a haystack, but at least it's a start.
We'll get her done. This new guy, he delivered $3 million worth of coke. You've been entrusted with a very valuable cargo, and I don't trust you. I'm not intimidated by you.
The DEA is cracking down.
Don't be stupid, or you disappear.
Rated R.
Milk. Opposite of milk. Expensive eggs. Pie. Chicken. We'll take it.
Shop Lowe's Black Friday deals and get up to 40% off select appliance special values.
Inferior phone detected.
Ah, the screen.
You know, Sprint has the awesome new iPhone XR.
Ooh, let's take a picture.
It has an amazing liquid retina display.
And now, get iPhone XR on us when you lease the latest iPhone. Switch to Sprint today.
You got a project, you need a part. So you go to AutoZone.com. You find the part, you order the part. You choose free next day delivery, and you sleep. The next day, you get in the part, and the job gets done. Free next day delivery from AutoZone. Available on up to 100,000 parts.
The Valley on ESPN is brought to you by Purina Dog Chow. Crafted in the USA by people who care with high-quality ingredients. That's the Dog Chow promise. Back at Redbird Arena as we welcome you to our halftime report, a presentation of State Farm, there for you when things go wrong, but also here to help life go right. Talk to an agent today at 800 State Farm. And right now, it is time for tonight's profile. It is made possible by Arch Madness 2019 as MVC correspondent Kurt Pegler takes a look at Redbird senior guard Keyshawn Evans.
Keyshawn Evans laughs about it now, but his friends remind him of what kind of player he was back in high school.
I didn't pass in high school. I didn't pass in high school at all. Oh, yeah, I didn't pass at all. At all. Literally didn't pass.
Evans is more of a complete player nowadays, and he thinks his high school teammates will agree when they see him play in person in late December, when the Redbirds make a trip to Evans' home state of Florida.
Now you're more unselfish. Now you don't just want to shoot the three every time, or just shoot from anywhere. I used to shoot the worst shots in high school, for sure.
Evans doesn't want to be known only as a three-point shooter. He wants to be known as a player who helped the Redbirds break a 2-decade absence from the NCAA tournament. Winning in front of his friends and family in Florida is great, but winning the Valley Tournament in St. Louis in his final year, that's what he wants to be known for.
That tops all of it. Winning in St. Louis will be, I don't know what it feels like, so we don't know, but I'm sure it'll be a great feeling if we can get it done. I know Coach Muller will be so happy, being here and then finally getting over that hump. Like that'll make me feel good.
For the Valley on ESPN, I'm Kurt Pegler.
All right, Kurt, thank you. And tonight's profile is made possible by Arch Madness 2019. Make plans to attend the State Farm MVC Men's Basketball Tournament at Enterprise Center in St. Louis on March 7th through the 10th. For more information, visit archmadness.com. Stick around, more of our halftime report from Redbird Arena when we come back. Back at Redbird Arena, and we take a look at the first half stats, a production of Purina Dog Chow, crafted in the USA by people who care with high-quality ingredients. That's the Dog Chow promise. As you see, it is 26-8 advantage, points in the paint for BYU. Only 2 threes made, while Illinois State 5 of 14 from beyond the arc in the opening half of play. And there you see the +9 rebound advantage for the Cougars after 20 minutes of play here at Redbird Arena. Take a break, and when we come back, we'll continue our State Farm halftime report here in Normal, Illinois. At the break here, it's the Valley on ESPN as the BYU Cougars here in Normal, Illinois, taking on the Illinois State Redbirds as the Cougars really clamped down in that final 2.5 as the Redbirds were scoreless in the final 2.5 of the opening 20 minutes of play, and that built their lead up to 40-31, their biggest of the night for BYU. For the Cougars, By the way, TJ Hawes, congratulations to him, as he, in his final 2 points, has hit the 1,000 point mark. And I want to let you know, The Valley on ESPN is brought to you by Casey's General Store. Casey's, famous for pizza. With the coach, Rich Savosic, Scott Warman with you as we get set for the second 20 minutes of play here at Redbird Arena. Quite a finish to that first half, Coach Savosic, for Coach Rose's BYU Cougars.
Well, they were able to control the action in the half court. They took better care of the basketball in the last 4 minutes, took advantage of their efficiency and the lack of making open shots by Illinois State.
So the Cougars with the opening possession of this second half. And last touch by Malik Yarborough. And for Malik, just 3 points and 3 rebounds in the opening 20 minutes of play, but had the task of trying to cover goalie Childs for the better part of that opening 20 minutes.
The Redbirds are going to need Malik Yarborough to be more aggressive on the offensive end this half.
Fain gets it to drop. Good start for the Birds to start the second 20 minutes of play.
You get the score, now you got to get the stop. Keep the ball in front of you, make him shoot a jump shot.
Childs, and the foul is on Chastain as he'll start the second half and picks up his third foul. Well, for Illinois State, they started off hot. In fact, they were at one point 4 for 8 from beyond the arc, but finished 1 for 6. I think part of that you got to credit BYU for clamping down a little bit more defensively too.
Now they started to keep the ball on the exterior, but terrific inbounds play by Brigham Young.
Zelius nails the 3, and it is the Cougars' third 3-make of the evening, and now an offensive foul is called on ISU. Tables turned already in the opening minute of this second half for Illinois State.
Once again, on that dribble handoff, the screener must come to a stop, or it's an offensive foul, as we saw in that possession.
Childs on Fain this time, and with the left hand, he gets the lay-in. Childs now in double figures with 10 points. Fain driving, partially blocked by Childs. Cougars in transition. Nixon, head fake on Chastain. And Matt will get the miss.
Much better rotation by Illinois State to force the jump shot.
Yarborough on the drive, gets the bucket and the foul.
Yarborough able to find the seam in transition. Brigham Young a little slow getting back, and Yarborough makes him pay.
Malik this season is 63% from the free throw line. Top 5 in the conference, points per game. Top 5 in not only rebounds per game heading into tonight's action, but also assists as well. Harden on the drive and the foul.
Defensively, Scott, you're on an island out there when you're playing hard net because they spread the floor. Basically, all 5 guys are capable perimeter shooters, and really 3 of the 4 are good three-point shooters. So you have a situation where Hardnett is one-on-one and there's no help coming. Copeland had to foul.
And Childs is so difficult in a matchup because he can beat you in the inside, but he can also beat you from the outside, too. I mean, it's quite a challenge to try to handle Yuli.
Oh, we saw the chess match, the move from Yarborough guarding Childs to now Fain, but Fain used to guarding players in the low post. Going to be a challenge for him.
And Malik with another 2. Yarborough is starting to get a little bit of a rhythm here in the opening stages of this second half. And Copeland collects the miss. Oh, Fain wasn't cutting. And wide open is Harden for the easy 2. Redbird's got to get back on defense.
You turn the ball over. It's got to be 5 guys sprinting to build the D.
Yarborough this time from the outside, too strong. And Hawes there for the rebound.
Scott, you watch this right now. And from about the 4-minute mark on to go in the first half, Brigham Young has gotten their offensive rhythm.
Oh, nice dish. Copeland gets the block on Childs. Josh Jefferson checking in.
Don't be surprised if you see Dan Muller make a defensive switch here and perhaps play a little zone. You got to try and do something
I was thinking about that,
to disrupt this rhythm by Brigham Young.
Dan isn't the biggest over the years proponent of zone defenses, but he might be forced to do so. Well, then Childs will beat you from the outside.
That's what we talked about before. It's a tough matchup for Fain. He's not used to guarding a player out on a perimeter.
Coach Muller calls a timeout. Big lead for BYU. They've built it up to 14 in the opening 3.5 here at Redbird Arena. Hey folks, want to let you know the MVC Fan Hangout is the perfect gathering place before and after games during Arch Madness. It's located at Ballpark Village in downtown St. Louis, just across the street from Busch Stadium. For additional information, visit archmadness.com/fans. Coach Rich Savosic and Scott Warman with you, our entire crew. Great to have you along. Valley on ESPN, our first broadcast of the season, as you see Reggie Redbird, and he and the Redbird fans too happy right now. It's now a 14-point lead for BYU as they've built up their 9-point lead at the break to a 14-point lead with 16:23 opening stages of the second half.
You know, Scott, we were talking at the break about famous alums from Brigham Young University. You went to the quarterback round.
I did.
Steve Young.
Well, I mentioned Steve Young and Jim McMahon, and I did throw in Danny Ainge because you were talking about a basketball and baseball great, which is so unusual.
I got to go to somebody who is dynamite, Napoleon Dynamite, John Hader, a graduate of BYU.
I knew you had to. Your fellow actors. Coach does a little acting himself, folks. Fain, nice power move inside.
Good design.
But I didn't
play.
realize that Napoleon Dynamite actually is a BYU grad.
That was a well-designed play by Coach Muller. Space the floor, get Fain one-on-one. Go to your seniors when you're down.
Harden again with the dribble drive.
They came out in the 2-3 zone.
Selhus with 4 on the shot clock. And the offensive rebound for BYU.
Long shots, long rebounds.
Wide open this time. In and out. Chastain pulls down the miss. I probably show my age a little bit when I'm mentioning Danny Ainge and Jim McMahon and Steve Young.
Danny Ainge, the president of the Celtics, he played basketball too.
Yeah. A little bit of hoops for the Celtics. Yarborough's heating it up here in the second half. He's keeping ISU in the game. In fact, down to single-digit lead for BYU at 9.
And they stay in the zone. That last possession, they forced 2 outside shots by Brigham Young.
8 second-half points for Malik. is last touched by Illinois State. BYU basketball when we come back to Redbird Arena. Hey folks, I want to remind you the road to the Final Four is coming through Kansas City. Tickets are still available through the NCAA Experience powered by Prime Sport. Get exclusive access, premium seat locations, and hospitality all from one source. Visit ncaa.com/VIP to secure your seats today. Coach Savosic, ISU, down to a single-digit deficit at 52-43. They've had 5 field goal makes. 3 of those 5 field goal makes from Malik Yarborough.
Well, we talked about Yarborough having to come out and be more aggressive here in the second half. He certainly has answered the bell. But the change defensively by Dan Muller. Every coach has a core defense, and obviously Coach Muller is basic man-to-man principles. But every now and then you need a little curveball to throw in there, a little change of pace. They went with the 2-3 zone, and they have eliminated dribble penetration the last 3 possessions.
Childs on the inbounds, wide open. Baxter with the flush. By the way, one last famous alum, and I'm sure there's more that we've forgotten for BYU or haven't mentioned. There's a 3 there from Josh Jefferson. Jimmer, speaking of shooting threes. Did you see what he just did not too long ago? He's playing in China, wants to get back to the NBA, plays for the Shanghai Sharks, and scored 75 in a game.
Oh, he is unbelievable.
He's incredible.
He
was fun to watch, man.
I had him in a game this summer in the basketball tournament.
Oh, you did?
And he went for about 52. I mean, you had to guard him as soon as he crossed half court.
No hesitation whatsoever. And Yarborough picks up the foul. That's number 3 now on Malik.
And Coach Muller is going to trust his senior. And quite frankly, with an 8-point deficit, you have to keep him in there. Playing the zone will hopefully keep him out of further foul trouble.
Hawes on the drive. Gets the loose change. And here's Yarborough. And Hawes picks up the foul. One thing we're noticing, I think, with BYU on these possessions to start the second half with the lead, well, now it's only 8, but when they had the double-digit lead, is their possessions are going longer right now.
Well, they're not getting the dribble drives that they got in the first half against the man-to-man and causing the defensive rotation.
Copeland can't finish. Childs gets another rebound. 9th rebound for Childs.
Childs does such a great job of carving out space. Strong hands. You're not going to take the ball away from him. You can see why he's averaging double figures in rebounds.
I'll tell you what, Gavin Baxter impressed me coming off the bench here. He's really given Coach Rose some strong minutes here this evening.
Good job of running the floor, posting up, forcing the foul.
Just a freshman from Provo, Utah. Also coming off his 2-year mission trip. Actually, did you read this? His mother, Angela, was an All-American track star at BYU.
She was a sprinter. The way he ran that floor the last possession, I can see it. He's got good genes.
Misses them both. Copeland got the step on Baxter, and Gavin will pick up the foul. Spin move on Childs. Malik can't finish. Gets his own rebound, and the putback partially blocked. And Adowu can't get it, and finally BYU comes away with it. 3 misses by ISU. Childs on the head fake, and he'll go to the line. Well, the Redbird fans wanted a foul down on the other end. They didn't get it, but here's a foul here on Illinois State's.
Childs does a terrific job of just taking his time, using the head and shoulder fake.
Childs is 78% from the charity stripe. He's going to miss. Well, he did miss one so far tonight, but that's unusual. Childs with 16 points and 10 rebounds. It's the 26th career double-double for the BYU Cougar. Nice pass by Jefferson, and the finish by Malik Yarborough.
You got a smaller, quicker lineup in there for Illinois State now. Let's see if they can cover the ground and gang rebound to prevent a second shot.
Childs.
That was a dangerous play. Yarborough almost picks up his 4th, but Childs showing his stick-to-itivity.
Jefferson on the drive, and the foul will be called on Connor Harding. Malik Yarborough trying to get the Redbirds back in this one. 11:34 left in the second half. It's a 10-point lead for BYU.
Before I go to work at Dog Chow.
And folks, join us this Saturday, December 1st, the Valley on ESPN for the final day of the Mountain West Missouri Valley Conference Challenge, as these Illinois State Redbirds will play host to San Diego State, while Bradley entertains the New Mexico Lobos. Now the Illinois State matchup against SDSU at Redbird Arena is underway at 2 Central. And then the second game of our doubleheader will be in Peoria, as Bradley will take on New Mexico. That will be at 7 Central from Carver Arena in Peoria. Exclusive coverage will be available with the Valley on ESPN.
San Diego State has some connection to Illinois State. Former head coach Steve Fisher was a Illinois State grad.
When?
I don't know the year.
Oh, come on. You failed the test, Coach Savose.
I am going to give you this.
Yes, give me a trivia.
This is the trivia question. First, we got to go to scores. Valpo, UNLV, 0-0. 0-0, Indiana State, San Jose State.
Those late. They're out the West Coast enjoying the nice weather. Here we have Bradley. Whoa, their first, that was a setback tonight. Meanwhile, UNI trailing Utah State. And there you see Evansville with a win over Wyoming. Now, last night, 2 of the 3 games in the Mountain West Missouri Valley Conference Challenge went the side of the Missouri Valley Conference. It was Drake with the victory last night, and also, how about the victory for Barry Hinson's Salukis of Selma, Illinois, winning on the road at Fort Collins against Colorado State.
They have been an early season Jekyll and Hyde type team. They go to Las Vegas, they lose to UMass convincingly, and then come back the next night and beat a very good Tulsa team.
Yes.
And now they go on the road and win against Colorado State. I think it'll be an interesting team this year.
They are. We'll actually see them next week, as they will host a very good St. Louis University team at SIU Arena. So Jefferson connects on the free throws, and the lead for BYU is at 8, as we have just under 11 and a half remaining here in Normal, Illinois. Childs for 3. Hawes trying to get the save, couldn't get the handle.
Scott, that was a great job of scouting by the Illinois State staff. Brigham Young ran a set play coming out of that timeout, and they smelled it out. They took away the inside shot, forced a 3 by Childs. Good job by the Illinois State staff.
Fain, too strong.
It's tough when Fain shoots the short jump shot. It takes him off the glass. Childs, so effective inside.
He didn't have the angle after he made the catch, but found enough angle to get the bucket. And the answer by Jefferson.
Oh, Chastain.
Chastain is injured, and he is in excruciating pain underneath the basket. It's his left leg.
Well, it looked like he got tangled up on the way back with a Brigham Young player.
See the big bandage on his left knee, and he is hobbling to the Redbird bench. We'll keep an eye on Matt.
Chastain giving them some energy off the bench. That's why he's basketball royalty. Hawes, just when you thought you were pulling closer, Hawes shoots a dagger.
Yarborough, can he answer?
Redbirds needed that one.
Big second half for Malik Yarborough. Almost single-handedly keeping the Redbirds in this game. 13 second half points. Nixon trying to get the save, and Copeland with a great effort just off his fingertips back to BYU.
Scott, here's the key with the zone. You're going to have to pick your poison. You may give up some three-point shots, as they did two possessions ago, but you cannot then give an interior basket. If you force them to continue to shoot jump shots, they will miss. You get back in the game.
Nice ball rotation. Good help defense by Copeland, and they're going to say jump ball, possession arrow to ISU. Good job by the Redbirds, because I'll tell you what, they were moving that ball around, weren't they?
Wow, that was as good a ball movement as I've seen in a long, long time. One too many passes, however. The last guy had a wide open shot, didn't take it, but it was a hustle play by Copeland.
After 9 turnovers in the opening half of play, that's just the first turnover for Coach Rose's Cougars here in the second half, as we're over the midway mark of this second half of play from Redbird Arena. ISU down by 7. Make it 5 on the 2 for Copeland. Redbird fans getting back into this one at Redbird Arena in Doug Collins Court.
Illinois State back in man-to-man.
Yarborough has just picked up his 4th foul on the drive from Nixon.
That is a tough call. Just very incidental contact. No advantage was gained on the foul by Yarborough, but now he's going to have to take a seat, depend on his teammates.
How about the presence, though, by Childs? You're the scorer of this team, the leading scorer, but yet you have your man down low who's one-on-one with the best scorer of your opponent who could pick up his 4th foul. That's impressive.
That's a young man who thinks the game.
Dalton Nixon, 1 for 2. Evans. And they get the whistle. Evans started out like a house of fire in this one tonight, didn't he? And that's something that Dan Muller needs, is more consistent scoring from his senior.
And part of that is the Yarborough impact. When you're playing against Illinois State, you have to key on Yarborough, so it opens up some other guys. He gets in foul trouble, and now all of a sudden your defense doesn't have to worry about the leading scorer, and they can kind of twist the screws a little bit.
And this is where guys like Fain and Evans definitely need to step up along with Will Tinsley. Lead is down to 4 now. It's 64-60.
Imagine where the ball is going to go right now. Childs will definitely get a touch on this possession.
Childs walked. Turnover for BYU.
Coach Rose wants a timeout, talk things over.
Cougars call the timeout at the 8:32 mark.
See Fain do an excellent job of moving his feet, cutting off dribble penetration. Force Childs to travel.
Well, Coach, I think it's going to be very interesting to see with Malik Yarborough, again, with 13 of his points in the second half. 13 of 16 in the second half. How long with those 4 fouls can Dan Mueller have him out? This is going to be an interesting segment here to see how ISU can match up against BYU with Malik out.
Well, if it stays a 2-possession game, you try and milk it as long as you can, maybe down to the 4 or 5 minute mark. I wouldn't think that they would keep him on the bench beyond the 4-minute timeout, but it all depends on, can you keep the game close, or as we've seen the last couple of possessions, gain traction and maybe tie it up.
Copeland on the drive, wide open, and it will roll out. Childs travels again.
You sense the last couple of possessions that Childs is looking at Fain and saying, all right, I'm the quicker guy. I can beat him off the dribble, and he gets anxious. Too fast for conditions.
Pick and roll. Fain is fouled, and when we come back, Phil Fain will go to the line and try to cut into this 4-point deficit. 7:55 remaining in this second half. BYU cling to a 4-point lead. Hey folks, established in 1907, the Missouri Valley Conference is the second oldest Division I athletics conference. To learn more about the storied history, visit the Valley Runs Deep landing page at mbc-sports.com/the Valley Runs Deep. All right, Coach Savosik, as we ran to a break, some interesting moment here with Yoli Childs and John Higgins, the official for tonight's game.
Well, Childs pleading his case to Higgins. Higgins doesn't want to hear any of it. And I can tell you this, trust me when I tell you, 25 years of coaching, I tried to convince officials a lot of times, and I never succeeded once. So Yoli Childs, save your breath. He's not changing the call.
So again, Malik Yarborough, the leading scorer for Illinois State, is on the bench right now with 4 fouls. 13 of his 16 points have come in the second half of play. Now, BYU, their largest lead was at 14 here in the second half, and the Redbirds have cut it down to 4 with an opportunity to make it 2 with the free throws coming via Bill Fain. He's already hit a couple of attempts earlier in the first half. Fane 60% from the stripe in the early stages of this season.
A lot of hard work in the offseason. I can remember watching him last year, and he had a hitch in his shot. Almost was painful to see him go to the line last year, but this year, new and improved. That's a lot of hours in the gym in the offseason working on it.
12 points for Fane tonight. He had 19 last year in Utah against the Cougars. And Evans going to get a foul here. Both teams in the bonus situation. That's the 8th team foul now on ISU. BYU has 7 team fouls.
I understand that Keyshawn Evans was trying to keep Hawes from catching the ball, but players need to understand when there's a little bit of an argument with an official, they're going to call it tighter the next possession. Smart play by Copeland.
Fane trying to get position on Childs. Tinsley for 3. Harding running the court. Hawes from downtown. And an offensive rebound for BYU.
Got a mismatch with Childs.
Off his fingertips, back the other way, and here comes Malik Yarborough.
Nice defense by Josh Jefferson. He was giving up inches to Childs, but he fronted him, forced the turnover. Scott, we've talked about BYU's trouble with turnovers tonight. 13 on the game. Illinois State doing a good job of valuing the possession. Only 8 turnovers.
Jefferson will go to the line to shoot 3. The foul is on Hawes. Yeah, BYU, one of the tops in the country in assist to turnover ratio heading into this week's action.
You look at Coach Rose with gray hair. It's those type of fouls that give coaches gray hair. Fouling the jump shooter.
.75% from the line as he missed the first of 3.
Hawes really with no chance of blocking the shot.
Jefferson, his freshman year over at Lakeland College, poured in 44. Not the 75 that Jimmer had in China a few weeks ago.
I'll take 44. That's a good night.
44 is pretty good.
Illinois State back in man-to-man for the last few possessions, and they're going to stay in it even though Yarborough is back in the game. Just that little change to zone really got BYU out of their offensive rhythm.
Did. Shot clock winding down. Cannon with 3 on the shot.
Well, I'm not sure how that official can make that call from across the court with John Higgins standing right there. So we're going to take another look at it. And Evans gets called for the foul from the official across the court.
Fans wanted to travel on Harding, didn't get it. Oh, wide open. Great cut by Sellius.
Set him up. Foot comes up, goes back door.
Fain inside. And there's an offensive foul on Childs. Great defense by Phil Fain. Boy, he's really stepped his game up defensively and tying up Yoli. Really almost getting him frustrated from the offensive side of things, Coach.
He certainly has gotten him frustrated. Forced a couple of travels. Now he takes the charge. And so often you'll see a player fight the pressure when an offensive guy hits him. We taught our guys all the time, you feel the pressure, you go down. Good job by Fain drawing the foul.
Copeland for the lead. No, rebound by Fain. Copeland, 7th tie of tonight's game at the 5:04 mark at 68-68. Redbirds have come back by as many as 14 here in the second half. Childs tries to get the answer. Malik with the rebound.
That's the shot you want him to take. Take a rebounder off the glass when Childs shoots the jump shot.
Nice cut. And the finish by Jefferson. And for the first time since the 5:51 mark of the first half, Redbirds have the lead. Coach Rich Savosic, let's get to our players of the game. A presentation is State Farm, there for you when things go wrong, but also here to help life go right. Talk to an agent at 800 State Farm.
Malik Yarbrough quiet in the first half, but 13 in the second half. And Yoli Childs, who has been solid all game long, a double-double, has struggled the last 3 minutes with Phil Fain shutting him down on the defensive end.
His last field goal was at the 10:54 mark. Another double-double for Childs as we have 4:30 remaining for the first time since the 5:51 mark of the opening half of play. Illinois State has climbed back to take a lead at 70-68.
Well, Copeland does a good job of eyeing out the back-cutting Jefferson. Defensive man got caught ball watching. Jefferson took advantage.
Right now a 6-0 run for the Birds. BYU won for their last 5 from the field.
Important offensive possession for BYU. Let's see what Coach Rose has dialed up.
Giles off the mark. Jefferson for 3. And looks like Fain is going to pick up the foul. And for Phil, that will be his second personal foul. Again, both teams in the bonus situation.
You're going to watch Hawes just put his head down and create the contact with Fain. And Hawes, an 82% free throw shooter. That's who Dave Rose wants on the line right about now.
It's been 7 minutes since Childs has had a field goal. We've seen him going back and forth with John Higgins, remember, during that under 8 timeout. And he just seems a little bit out of sorts.
I was just going to say, has never really recovered from that little discussion with John Higgins. But you have to credit Phil Fain for some stifling defense as well.
Absolutely.
But that's who you go to, TJ Hawes.
He's only 80+% from the free throw line this year.
Now, BYU for the first time tonight has gone zone.
Copeland, too strong.
don't think that's the shot that Dan Muller wanted on that possession.
Especially with 4 blue jerseys hanging right underneath the net there. Hartnett on the drive. Fain gets the board.
Cougars are going to stay in the zone. Going to try and get the ball into the low post area. Get Fain a touch. Or get one swing and a wide open 3 for Copeland.
Pause. And they're going to get Fain again. And I think the Redbird fans wanted to travel there.
Hawes loses his footing on this, and we're going to see it. And it causes him to create the contact once again with Fain. And the official calls the contact.
Heady play, though, by Hawes. You think about it, hey, our team, we're kind of struggling right now offensively. What's the one thing we could do? Go right to the rack and go to the free throw line and score some points. 3 points.
So that was the one thing that was hurting Illinois State in the first half, the ability to stop the dribble penetration. Right. Coach Muller switched to his own and took it away. Now Hawes going back. And BYU doing the same thing, going zone.
Yarborough drains the 3, and it's a 4-point lead for ISU.
Very important to keep the ball in front of you right now.
As you pointed out, Coach Savosic, Redbirds going back to a man-to-man, but right there is a better defense as they were collapsing inside and not letting those easy buckets that we saw through a better part of the first half by Coach Muller's D.
They got the second rotation. Help the helper.
Nice pass by Childs, and Fain wanted the rejection.
They're going to call that on Yarborough.
And they're going to call it on Yarborough, and he's out. Oh, it's his 4th.
You're going to see dribble penetration. And I'm not sure where the contact occurred. It was a nice dump off by Childs. And I understand why Yarborough is saying, me?
Yeah.
I failed to see the contact by either guy.
Well, the PA announcer said 4, and you and I looked at each other, but I think the public address announcer here thought it was on Fain initially, because that would have been the 4th on Fain. He has 3, but Yarborough out of the game. And now Nixon, who's a 76% free throw shooter, misses the first of 2.
Very good free throw shooter. Those are the invisible turnovers in the stat sheets, the missed free throws in the last couple of minutes.
Jefferson off the mark for the 3. Quite a battle, and Childs comes away with it for the rebound on the weak side.
BYU, your best offense has been Hawes just driving to the basket.
Every time.
That's a travel.
Nixon gets the offensive board. Childs this time from the outside and drains it.
Big hustle play by Nixon doing an outstanding job giving his team an extra possession.
And for Yoli Childs, that puts him at 20. That's the 19th career 20-point game for Childs.
Scotty, those are the type plays that Nixon just made that can turn a game, that can turn a season. BYU on the road here looking for a good non-conference win, and Nixon not giving up on the offensive rebound.
Take a look at the upcoming schedule for the Cougs and staying local for the next few games.
Right down the road, Weber State, Utah. They're not leaving the state, but that's the one thing that Coach Rose did mention. 8 of their next 10 games are on the road, so they're going to have to do some work away from home.
So out of the ISU timeout, and by the way, for the Redbirds, they have 1 timeout remaining, as does Coach Rose's BYU Cougars with 90 seconds remaining, a 1-point lead for the Birds.
And the Cougars stay in the zone, not necessarily their core defense, but they're trying to stop dribble penetration.
Oh, turnover. And there haven't been too many of them for the Redbirds, but you talk about an inopportune time. Wow.
Well, he had him spotting up.
That's just their 10th turnover that I hear, Coach Z.
As we saw in that last possession, it's not the first shot that can beat you, it's the second shot. So when the shot goes up, all 5 guys got to go to the glass.
Childs posting up on Fane. Gets his own rebound, gets the stick back, and BYU has the 1-point lead at 77-76.
Childs, who had struggled until the last 2 possessions.
Just straight determination right there. Evans kept alive. Tinsley lost the handle, and Childs calls the timeout with the possession. Final timeout for BYU.
Heads up play by Childs. Going down on the ground. Calls the timeout. You see the long shot by Evans, and Fane keeps it alive. And then Childs just rips it away.
From Tinsley. All right, we mentioned the difficult schedule on the road, a lot of games for BYU and for Illinois State. You talk about this tough non-conference schedule that, boy, Dan Mueller has put together. Look at what he's got coming up after tonight's matchup.
Yeah, San Diego State, one of the better teams in the Mountain West. UIC, one of the top 2 teams in the horizon. And then Ole Miss coming in, Cleveland State, an NCAA tournament team from a year ago. And Johnny Dawkins at UCF has the Golden Knights playing very well.
Yes, they are. Redbirds right now haven't scored in the last 2:07. It's a 5-0 run right now for the Cougars. 32.4 seconds remaining. There's actually about a 3.5-second differential between the game clock and the shot clock.
So if you're in that Redbird huddle, you're talking about who's the worst free throw shooters for Brigham Young. Well, we know it's not Hawes. It's not Hardnett, an 87% free throw shooter. But you can give yourself a chance for a trap in the backcourt, foul in the front court. If you're Brigham Young, got to be strong with the basketball.
Cannon, the trigger man, has the worst at 66%. That's out on the floor right now for BYU. And they're going to foul Hardnett. 24.5 seconds left.
Hardnett, an 87% free throw shooter.
And again, Malik Yarborough out with 5 fouls for Illinois State, their leading scorer. BYU has 8 misses at the free throw line as they're 16 of 24 this evening at Redbird Arena. Isaac Gassman checks in for the first time tonight.
The door is still left open.
Timeout left for Illinois State. Copeland on the drive. Kick out. Gassman Left hand, short. And here's Copeland, and a foul is called with 2.8 seconds remaining.
Actually, a good call by the official. Hawes got caught with his hand in the cookie jar.
That's Hawes' fourth. Copeland this year, 81% from the free throw line.
See if Coach Rose is going to elect a timeout on a make.
Illinois State calls the timeout. That's their final timeout. BYU out of timeouts. 2.8 seconds remaining. Tied at 78. Will we go to overtime?
Scott, I can tell you this. As a former coach, the one thing you want from officials is consistency. You don't care if they're good or bad as long as they're consistent. And we saw against Illinois State, Hawes driving to the basket, creating contact, they called the foul. On that last possession for Illinois State, Hawes gets caught, reaching in, the contact was made, official makes the call. So as a coach, all you want is consistency out of the officials. You can live with that.
So what are both teams discussing here with just 2.8 seconds remaining?
Well, if you're Illinois State, you're talking about keep the ball in front of you, challenge a shot without fouling. If you're Brigham Young, you're dialing up your Valparaiso, Bryce Drew type play. Try and get the ball to half court and then pitch it to a shooter.
Here's the foul on Hawes' fourth that sent Copeland to the line to tie the score at 78.
So look for a pass either to the foul line area, or the top of the circle, or half court. With 2.8 seconds, you have almost 3 dribbles before you have to take the shot.
Connor Harding is the trigger man for the Cougars. And now our officials are at the scorer's table.
And now they're going to take a look at this time to see if more time should be put on the clock.
And so Dan Muller call his troops over, as well as Coach Rose, as they take a look at this one more time. We get John Higgins, Tony Padilla, and David Hall are officials for tonight's game.
Well, this is a free timeout for Dan Muller. He got to see BYU set, and now all of a sudden he's got the board up there and he's drawing up set because one of his assistants who had the scout is saying, okay, this is the play they run on a last-second play out of that set. So let's see if they match it up perfectly or BYU is able to get a shot off. Look for perhaps a cross by Hawes and Hartnett.
There's Hawes with time running out, and we're going to overtime here at Redbird Arena.
I don't know about you, Scott, but I took one look at it. I thought that was going in.
It was close. So the Illinois State Redbirds coming back from a 9-point deficit at the break, and we head to overtime as we see Hawes with this last-ditch effort here in regulation.
Keyshawn Evans challenging the shot, but smartly staying away.
I want to remind you, more basketball coming your way as we open up the season with the Valley on ESPN. In fact, we got a doubleheader as part of the Missouri Valley Conference Mountain West Challenge on Saturday. First game will be at 2 p.m. Central Time right here at Redbird Arena as Dan Muller's Illinois State Redbirds will take on San Diego State. Again, that will get underway at 2 Central, and then the nightcap will be just west of here on Interstate 74 in Peoria at Carver Arena as the Bradley Braves will take on New Mexico as they'll host them at 7 Central Carver Arena. And again, the exclusive coverage will be available on the Valley on ESPN. All right, so we get to this 5 minutes of overtime here in Central Illinois, and Coach Savosic, again, Illinois State without their leading scorer, Malik Yarborough, who is fouled out of tonight's game. Hawes, by the way, out there with 4 fouls right now.
Well, the interesting thing, or interesting question that BYU has, will they stay in the zone? It did slow Illinois State down, but the bigger question may be who can generate the scoring with Yarborough on the bench for the Redbirds.
Redbirds will get the opening possession in this overtime period, and looks like Coach Rose going to a zone. Copeland, nice rebound. Gaspin inside, Fain can't finish, gets his own rebound and the putback.
Nice cut by Gaspin and drop off to Fain.
Childs on Fain.
I think that's 5 on Evans.
That is his 5th. So Evans will finish the night with 15 points, as you see his stat line there. Keyshawn with a nice start to tonight's contest.
You're going to watch him here. He's a little slow in rotation when Gassman goes over. Because he's a step late, commits the foul.
Hits the first free throw. Copeland on the drive, can't finish with the left hand. Harding gets the rebound there for BYU.
Fain all over it. Couldn't finish it.
How high? Hawes, excuse me, on the drive, and it's blocked. In transition, Tinsley. Fain on Childs. Childs for the tie. Tinsley pulls down the rebound for ISU as they lead at 82-79, under 3.5 left in our overtime.
Illinois State doing a good job against this zone of not settling for jump shots.
Copeland with the triple.
Unless you got a wide open 3.
That ties the largest lead of the night for Illinois State at 6. That was way back in the first half. Childs gets position and gets the finish.
A smart play by Tinsley, not trying to block it, commit the foul. That way you keep it a 2-possession game.
Not a bad pass either. Fain. Hawes will go to the line to shoot 3 as Copeland picks up the foul.
Smart play by Hawes. Gets the defender in the air. Forces the foul. See Hawes. Just enough contact.
Third 20-point game of the season for Hawes as he drains all 3 free throws. And the lead for Illinois State is at 1 at 85-84.
Coach Rose has seen enough of the zone. They went back to man-to-man.
Tinsley gets it to roll in. And a fist pump from Dan Muller on the sidelines. Fein on the miss. Now they got numbers. Hawes gets back on D. And stolen by Ardnett. On Copeland. Jashir will head to the free throw line. 4th foul on Copeland.
He tried to back away, but Ardnett does an excellent job of forcing the foul. BYU has had the right guys at the foul line here in overtime between Hawes and
Ardnett. You look at their
Ardnett.
numbers, though, in the free throw column, and everybody's shooting the ball pretty well from the charity stripe this season. Harding with 60% is the lowest. Redbirds up by 2, under 2 left.
Back to man-to-man. Maybe you get Fein a touch on this possession.
Oh, in and out for Jefferson. Childs pulls down the miss. BYU could take the lead or at least tie on this possession. And a nice rebound there by Gaspin and stolen by Hardnett. And the foul is called on Copeland. That's his 5th. Wow.
The stick-to-itivity of Hardnett after he missed the shot.
Get the substitution, and the freshman from Melbourne, Florida, Ray Idowu, will check in. Hasn't seen a lot of time here tonight. And Muller's running out of players.
And we forgot about Chastain, who left the game with an injury.
Matt Hine had an ankle injury, didn't play on Saturday. Thought maybe he might play today, but looks like Matt is not available as well. Tied at 88, under 90 seconds remain here in Central Illinois. What a battle between BYU and Illinois State. And Redbirds retain possession with 13 on the shot clock.
Great idea by Jefferson. Fein was open.
Fein on Nixon. And now they call an offensive foul, and that's going to be on Phil Fein. That, I believe, is his fourth. Yeah, it's his 4th foul.
Fein makes an outstanding move, and I think he found himself so wide open that he rushed the shot. Redbird fans not happy with that call.
Well, we're just being told they're going to make sure that the foul was called on the right player, as they'll have a review before free throws coming for the BYU Cougars. And that didn't take long, as it is on Phil. Again, that's 4 fouls on Fein.
Coach Dan Muller got exactly what he wanted. He got a one-on-one with Fein, and Fein got all the way to the rim, but just couldn't convert.
All right, so 4 fouls on Fein. Hawes been out there the entire overtime period playing with 4 fouls. Nixon's out there right now as well. He has 4 fouls for the Cougars.
become a war of attrition.
Yep. Childs has given BYU the lead back with the free throw make.
But he keeps the door open.
Fein on Nixon. Gets his own rebound. And he'll shoot two. Who's the foul on here? Oh, that's on Childs. That's his third. Nixon was right in the middle of it. I know he's playing with 4 fouls.
It's good execution once again. You get Fein single coverage on the block. Big fella just can't finish.
So the senior from Elk Grove, California. Ties it at 89. One-point lead for the Redbirds.
I said it before, that's a lot of hard work in the offseason. Phil Fein from the foul line, much improved.
Zone defense by the Redbirds. They have no one left on their bench. Matt Hein is not available.
Terrific move by Dan Muller.
Hawes playing with 4 fouls. Shot clock down to 5. Open 3, Nixon. No! Rebound, Jefferson.
That was an outstanding coaching move by Dan Muller. Goes zone, catches BYU off balance, forces a 3-point shot.
And the officials going over to review the last play to make sure that we have exactly 13.6 seconds remaining. Jefferson, a 75% free throw shooter, 4 of 5 from the stripe here tonight. He has 2 shots coming up with the Redbirds holding on to a 90-89 lead right now with 13.6 seconds remaining, and the officials have
to kind of give you an
idea.
idea.
Going to add 1.1. That's now 14.7. Sorry, Coach.
Scotty, to kind of give you an idea how big that defensive possession was. Nixon got the open shot, but he coming into the game was 1 for 12 from the 3-point line. You don't want Childs or Hawes to beat you. Excellent move by the Redbird head coach.
Cougars just 1 made field goal in this overtime period. 9 points via the free throw for BYU. They trail it by 2. 1 more free throw here for Josh Jefferson.
It'll be interesting to see if he stays in the zone. You got to find the shooters.
Coach Rose calls the timeout. When we come back here to Redbird Arena, can the Redbirds hold on? They lead BYU with 11 seconds left, 92-89. 11 seconds remaining in overtime. Illinois State with a 3-point lead tonight. Rich Savosic, the Cougars 6 of 26 from beyond the arc.
And they haven't looked comfortable shooting the 3 against that zone. So we'll see as we come out of the timeout whether or not Illinois State stays in the zone. Not necessarily their core defense, but it has been effective. The key, if they go back to man-to-man, however, is they must switch all screens. make sure that if a shot is taken, it's not a three-point shot.
Phil Fain, you see there, been quite the difference maker, especially on the defensive end against Childs in the second half of this game. He is out there with 4 fouls. So is Hawes and Nixon, but more importantly on the defensive end because there are no more Redbirds left on the bench. Hawes for the tie. Rebound Hardy, still has time. Hardnett forces one up. And the Redbirds come away with the victory, 92-89. Coach Savosic, what a comeback for Dan Muller's Illinois State Redbirds here tonight.
How big is that comeback? Huge. That's the type of game that can propel your season to greater heights. And think about this. They did it without their best player for basically the last 10 minutes of the game.
What a win for Illinois State.
I cannot say enough about Phil Fain and his much improved free throw shooting. It's easy for guys to make free throws early in the game, but he stepped up, made 2 big free throws in crunch time. Terrific effort by the Redbirds.
Take a look at the highlights in this terrific battle between BYU and Illinois State here at Redbird Arena.
Some guys making big plays off the bench. The off-brand guys, Jefferson, Copeland. And this is a very good BYU team. They're going to win a lot of games in the WCC.
Josh Jefferson coming up big. And remember this, again, Phil Fain had 4 fouls. He fouls out. Dan Muller's team is down to 4 players, but they pull out the victory, 92-89. Coach, enjoy it, my friend.
Same here.
For the coach, Rich Savosic, I'm Scott Warman. Thanks so much for joining us here. It's the Valley on ESPN. Illinois State wins in overtime, 92-89. To watch this entire game on replay, as well as other events on our family of ESPN networks, download the ESPN app. Thanks for watching tonight's contest. This has been a presentation of ESPN.